Oh, wow, this is my first time walking and talking with my big camera. Let's see. Ooh. Hi. This is a very spontaneous decision that I'm making, but oh, there's two bunnies in my neighbor's front yard. Cute. I get sundowners, nighttime spookies, I don't know what you want to call it, but I get it. And the summer is great because the sun stays up longer, but it doesn't stay up forever. So the scaries still rear their ugly head. And Chris is working all week, and my period's gonna start. It's all going on. So I've had this idea for a little while of filming my evenings, especially around the times when the scaries start to set in. And so that's what I'm doing. Yeah, like I said, very spontaneous, so I don't really know what I'm going to talk about or what I'm going to show. But yeah, if you're into it, come join. Also, the inner corner of my right eye, I itched it earlier and it really hurt. So if I end up getting pink eye, this will probably never see the light of day. So yeah. Leftovers for dinner. So yeah, let's be honest. It doesn't look stellar cold, but I feel like that's just leftovers. But the other night I made this caramelized onion and sun-dried tomato pasta. So I'm gonna have that for dinner. Okay, I way overheated my leftovers, but I thought maybe while they were cooling down, oh, there it is, I could show you what I cast on today. It's literally not much currently, but for years I have wanted a Christmas sweater, and I've never made one because usually around the time I want one, it's not gonna get done in time for that year anyway. And also I've just always told myself it's a waste of time, because why would I spend all this time making a sweater that I'm only gonna wear for a month maybe out of the whole year? And please don't lick, thank you. I've finally come to the conclusion that if it makes me happy, then it's not a waste of time. So I'm finally doing it. The pattern that I'm following is the Scotch Pine by Alicia Plummer. And I found somebody's project, Amy J Knits, on Ravelry. And I've kind of edited her project photo for what I want mine to end up looking like. We'll see if this... So this is basically the vibe. There's a simplified chart version and then a more complicated version. This is the simplified chart version. And there's little, in color work, when it's 4 stitches and it's one stitch, and then on the next row it's 2 stitches, and then on the third row it's 1 stitch again. So I think what I'm going to do for those is I'm going to fill in all the stitches, which runs the risk of little crosses, but I think because they're so clustered, it will look more like a circle. And I think in that center stitch in the middle row, I might even do a little bobble to sort of make them look like cranberries or holly berries. And I think the leaves also resemble maybe even mistletoe. It's sort of giving that Knitting for Olive sweater a little bit. So yeah, I only just cast it on. I'm using Woolly Knit 4-ply British wool, and actually the red is a cone that they kindly gifted to me, which is very exciting. And so this is what I'm using for, there's a little contrast stripe around the collar and both sleeves. And so I'm gonna use red. And then obviously for the little dots and baubles I was just talking about, I'm gonna use the red. And then they also gifted me a green in Celtic green that I'm gonna use later down the line for a very exciting heritage project type sweater. But I'm gonna try to steal just a little bit of it for this and hope that that doesn't screw me for my big sweater that I want to use it for. So the gauge might be iffy. The pattern calls for a sport weight yarn or a yarn that blooms really well. I don't know if woolly knit does bloom. Did I swatch? Of course I did not swatch. Have you been here before? I don't swatch. Yeah, I couldn't even find it anywhere online. I Googled it. I was like, does woolly knit British 4-ply bloom? Couldn't find anything about it. So playing with fire a little bit here, but what's new? So so instead of doing sport weight, it's even like a light fingering weight. And I think the pattern calls for 3.5 and 3.75 millimeter needles. And I'm doing 3 millimeter and 3.5 millimeter needles. So we'll see how it goes. I have accidentally just kind of become a monogamous knitter. So I have one project I've been working on pretty much monogamously, barring socks. Socks don't count. Socks are like free. So yeah, it's kind of nice to finally have enough mojo to cast something on. I was just having no mojo, so it was like, I'm just gonna work on what I already have going because I don't have to think about it. And whenever there was a step I did need to think about, oh boy howdy, did it just sit there. And so the past couple of days, maybe a week, I've had a little bit more mojo where I'm like, ooh, maybe I could cast something on. What do I want to cast on? What yarn do I want to use? Going through my stash in my head and just literally casting on a stockinette sweater felt too overwhelming. So I just waited, and then all the stars mentally aligned today, I don't know. And so yeah, it's just kind of exciting. And I've been having some hopefully minor health issues where I've been having some numbness and tingling in my arms and my legs. It's gotten much better, but it's not gone. And one of the reasons we haven't had a podcast in a while is because I haven't been knitting very much because of this numbness and tingling. And my doctor actually told me like I wasn't really allowed to knit anymore. And I took that to mean knit like 50% of what I was. So yeah, that didn't help with the mojo problem. But yeah, that's not resolved. I have one, well, I'm supposed to start physical therapy. I'm starting that next month. And then I have one kind of like final test to do, and it's just really scary. So I've been procrastinating, even though I know I shouldn't, because it's better to just get it done and know and have answers. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Nighttime scaries, stress thoughts, anxiety thoughts, it's all part of it, isn't it? So we're not dwelling, we're knitting on a fun little Christmas sweater, and we're having yummy leftovers for dinner. So thanks for hanging out with me.
Really like make time for this, so we'll see. I don't know. To me, fiscal year, well, a lot of things happened to me this year, but I've gotten very bad at finishing up like the last little bits of projects, and that's just sad. I just want to make a change in that. So that's what we're doing. And
Wow, that's zoomed in. Hello, it's me. So dinner was good. I'm gonna close my blinds. Now that the curtains are closed, I can actually show them to you. Fun fact, my mom sewed these for me. I had the fabric and she sewed them, and I really love them. It's a linen fabric. So dinner was good, leftovers were delicious. Now I'm gonna make just a little treat, my eye hurts. Please don't be pink eye. A little treat. Chris and I have been making these the past few nights, and I never really thought that I would be into this sort of thing, but I am. And it's just stuffed dates. So we have dates, and I've been splitting 3. Yes, I've been splitting 3 dates, so we each get about a date and a half. And I put a little bit of peanut butter in, and then I drizzle some chocolate that I have melted on top, a little bit of sea salt on the top, and then I pop them in the fridge until the chocolate is crunchy again. And they have been the nicest little treats. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Excuse me. Who told you you could be that cute? Hmm? Who told you you could be that cute? Hmm? Little cinnamon roll boy. He's a 50-pound dog. Look at how he cinnamon rolls. It's so cute. You're so cute.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna block it, see where we're at, try to maybe like stretch it a bit so we can get some extra length and maybe some extra, like, that it will relax a bit because I'm not, like, I wanted it to be tight.
Okay, I just changed my shirt because I am going to work out. This might be a little controversial depending on what time people like to work out. I gotta set this down. Carrying this is so weird. Okay, because working out's very individual. When people like to do it's very individual. I've kind of always been a nighttime workout person. When I first got into yoga, the class that I loved was from 8 to 9:30 and I loved it. Now, I was 21. I don't go to yoga classes that late anymore, but especially when I start feeling these scaries, I like to do just a little something, and I bought myself a walking pad, which is very exciting. I had kind of been seeing them around and I was like, ugh, because growing up my dad made my sister and I do 2 miles on the treadmill after school every day. So I vowed never to do anything like the treadmill ever again. And yeah, here I am. Bought myself a walking pad and I've really been liking it. I just set it up here in my living room and I face it towards the TV, and I do it for about just under 26 minutes at 2.4 miles an hour, which gets me to a mile. And yeah, it's like, it's just very passive, but feels good. I do get a bit of a sweat on, hence I changed out of my pajamas. Have made that mistake before and it's not good. So yeah, usually I'll put on a 20-minute or a 25-minute YouTube episode or a special 20-minute episode of a show, just something that I kind of keep for walking pad time because that encourages me to actually do the walking pad. But tonight I just gotta get moving, so I'm just gonna keep watching what I've been watching and just stop when I get to the point and the walking pad I want to get to. So yeah, getting the heart flutters, so it's time to move.
And I'm getting like 18.
All right, we had a body shower and now Chris came home. We've been chatting. He's taking Simon on his night walk, and I thought while he was doing that, we would do a little book chat. So I just finished this book. It was not good. It was not good. I'm gonna take it to one of the little free libraries in my parents' neighborhood. But the book I started after page 42, don't let me forget it. It got recommended to me, and basically she's like an American photographer who takes a listing to go to an Irish island for the summer. So far so good. But yeah, like reading light, fluffy, feel good, nothing really that serious happens type books is a big key for me right now in life. So that is what I am doing. My next book, I think I want to be People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I've read one Emily Henry book before and I liked it. But I know people just love her. So yeah, I think I want that to be my next read. So now I'm gonna make some tea. Chris and I are gonna watch an episode of Emily in Paris. Another big thing, watch cozy, happy things. And then he's gonna go to bed and I'm gonna read my book. That's the plan. Okay, next day. This is a weird angle because I'm trying not to show my neighborhood. Still no pink eye, so that's something. It's clearly not nighttime yet. So no nighttime spookies, but I'm on my way to my parents' house for a little hangout, sleepover, hang out tomorrow type thing. So yeah, that's another thing I like to do. Once a week, once every other week, I like to go and hang out with my parents and sleep over and just, yeah, hang out. It helps with the spookies. He's at a stick. He's at a stick. He's at a stick. Oh, you're so handsome. There you go. There you go.
sorry. Look, I'll do anything I can to find you somewhere else to live.
Thank you. Excuse me, I'm very busy. What's the matter with you? Where are you going? I'm going to the bathroom. You just went to the bathroom. I'm going again.
Now we're almost done. I still have to do the toe.
Okay, my camera's got new stuff on the screen, so hopefully all this is okay. Happy Wednesday. I am back home now. There was not much from yesterday because I was spending time with my parents. And it was very nice. We watched a Cary Grant movie. I love Cary Grant. He's 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Yeah, it was just nice. It was great. Chris met us in the evening. And yeah. And then before I left this evening, I made my mom and I dinner. I made us some fried rice, and then we went on a walk, and then we picked up, like on our way back, we picked Simon up, and then we walked up the street to his best friend Coco Bean's house, and that's always such a nice visit. So yes, I'm home now, showered. It was a hair wash shower, so big things happening over here tonight. And yeah, Chris is hopefully on his way home from work now. And until then, I've still been enjoying Knits by Kimberly. I had watched a couple of her videos, but none extensively. And so now I have a backlog, which is just the best. So yes, I'm gonna knit and I'm gonna do that. One other thing I wanted to talk about in regards to beating the scaries is puzzles. I have learned that doing puzzles really helps distract my brain long enough to sort of reset when I start to spiral. It started by doing my New York Times puzzles, so like Wordle, strands, and then I realized that there were Sudoku puzzles on the New York Times app. So I started doing those, and I can't go past the easy. I literally can't figure out the medium. So I downloaded a Sudoku app, which I showed a clip of last night, and I really just enjoy doing them. Sometimes I can do one and it gets me out of it. Sometimes I need to do like 5. But just having something that feels almost productive, it's like problem solving. It just helps get me out of my doom spiral in my brain. Another thing I've been doing, which I heard on a podcast, is after 9 p.m. I'm ignoring stress and anxiety thoughts, because by 9 p.m. it's like it's dark, it's towards the end of the day, I've had a full day, I'm tired or I'm getting tired, I've been overwhelmed, I'm overstimulated, nothing good is going to come from listening to stress and anxiety after 9 p.m. So I'm just not doing it anymore. Anytime the thoughts come up, I'm like, it's past 9 p.m. I'm not spiraling on that. And it's kind of been working, surprisingly. So yeah, that's what, I don't know. I thought I'd give a little knitting update. I was going to work on this when I got home because similarly to puzzles, working on a sort of challenging knit can really help keep me occupied. But since Chris is on his way, I'm not going to start because I need some uninterrupted time. But I made a little bit of progress on my Will Be Christmas sweater. My color work is so messy. It's so messy. I think it's going to block out fine. But looking at it raw like this, it's like, ugh. So I'm actually not going to work on that. I'm going to work on, I haven't talked about this because I haven't podcast, but I've been knitting a sweater for a family friend, and I am really far along on the first sleeve, and then I just have the second sleeve and then it's done. So I'm gonna keep working away on this tonight. And yeah, we'll see where the evening takes Chris and I. We'll either do individual entertainment viewing or probably Emily in Paris. We are behind on Love Island UK, but it's towards the end of the season, and so it's like all the kind of like juicy, exciting stuff is over. And I typically lose interest for the last week. So we'll probably finish it this weekend, I would think. But yeah, that's my update and my little tips.
The needles fell that I don't know what it was, but I was just not working. So maybe I should try to knit it on wooden needles, because I do really like my knit pro ginger wooden needles, and try that.
That was the other thing I wanted to say about puzzles, is that for better or worse, every night I fall asleep doing my New York Times puzzles. I usually fall asleep after midnight, so that's why it works. Because the new puzzles are released at midnight every night. So yeah, I either fall asleep doing the Wordle or the strands, and I know a lot of people are very, you know, no screens, no screens, no screens. But I went through a big phase for months of starting to fall asleep and then jolting awake with anxiety. And I don't really know why. It's nothing I ever struggled with before. I've always struggled to fall asleep, but it was more insomnia than that. So I've been falling asleep doing my puzzles for about 128 days, according to my streak. And it pretty much hasn't been happening since I've started doing the puzzles to fall asleep. So, you know, it's one of those like pick your poisons. What works for you, may not work for somebody else, but these are just my tips that I've been doing. So another thing I've been doing since, I think, September is I made myself a gratitude journal. And so in the mornings, I didn't do it here because I wanted to show it as an example. I try to write 3 things I'm grateful for and then 3 things I would like to do. And they could be like, I mean, they could be big things, or they could be, you know, watch a funny video, go on a walk, that kind of thing. And then in the evenings, I like to write 3 things that made me happy. Yeah, I've been really liking doing this. Oh my gosh, okay, whirlwind of a couple evenings. I didn't film last night. I got together with my cousin. We went to the beach. Doing something around like sunset into, don't mind that, into the dark hours can really, really help kind of with the scaries a bit. And then this evening we went to have dinner with some family. So again, it was another kind of like transitional. We went over at 6 p.m. Sun didn't go down till a little bit after 8. So yeah, it was really nice, kind of social couple of days. Chris is just getting back with Simon now from the walk and I'm embarrassed. Hi.
Hello.
Just filming my clip.
Okay.
Chris,
Yeah.
I feel shy now.
Why?
I don't know. Come here! Did you go on your walk? Come here. Oh, no, just straight up. Anyway, yes, doing things around the time it starts to get dark I find very helpful. Another thing that I personally find helpful is we have smart lights. So when it starts to get dark in our living room, I have them automatically programmed to come on. And so there's never like, I don't have that thing where it's progressively getting darker and darker and suddenly I realize I'm sitting in darkness. Like, it all sort of stays pretty consistent. And then we also have a lamp in our bedroom that comes on when our string lights come on, and that's nice because it also helps to light up the hallway. So we have lots of automatic lighting happening. I have one over the couch that happens. I have two in the hallway, and then I have the lamps and the string lights that come on. So they all come on at different times and they all kind of just help keep everything bright. And I find that very, very helpful.
And as I said, he wants all the attention and freaking a swatch. I think. I didn't have time to unpack my packages yet and show you. And now I already have to record my nails, so I'm gonna get my nails done. And after that, of these lovely dishwashers, and then I'm gonna like put them nicely in one of my garments as a process before I get. So
Maybe I should start that over. The air conditioner just turned off. Okay, here with the outro. And I thought in the outro I would sort of list my tips of things that help me beat the nighttime spookies. I should have written it down. Oh well. One is to feed myself. So it's not good to stay hungry. It's not good to just push it off. The hungrier I am, the harder it is to avoid the spookies, if that makes sense. So something I really like to do is around the time they start kicking in, I either like to start cooking dinner or I like to be eating dinner. So yes, in the winter, that means I eat pretty early. But yeah, just giving myself kind of that activity is really good. And cooking is so, you use so many senses that it really takes my attention and my focus. It's similar to the puzzles, which is another tip. So yeah, feeding myself is a big tip. Preferably cooking if I can. I don't always. Another tip is puzzles. Puzzles help me so much, especially Sudokus right now. I don't know, I'm on a Sudoku kick. But yeah, puzzles, again, something that's occupying my mind. Similarly with more challenging knits, especially if I'm home alone, a color work or a cable or a part I'm kind of stuck on, something to engage me, something to give me something to focus on, basically. Another great one, if possible, is just being around people, being around loved ones. Like this week I went and had a sleepover with my parents. Another evening I went and saw my cousin. Another evening we had dinner with my boyfriend's family. So that is not typical for us. We do not typically socialize that much. Usually it's like one evening I go and see my parents. So yes, another one is lighting. Like I mentioned earlier, I have a bunch of different automatic lights set up. So I have one above the couch that comes on like an hour before sunset. Our string lights and lamps come on like 2.5 hours before sunset, basically when the house starts getting dark. The lights in the hallway I have come on at 4 or 5, like before it even starts getting dark in the house. I have them come on, and I find that just so useful. And we got string lights for the backyard, so I think that will also be nice, just kind of to make the dark times feel cozy as opposed to dark. So in the winter, what I really love to do is I like to light candles. It's like a nighttime treat, I try to make it. So my nighttime treats in the winter are I get to light candles, and then I'll plug in Christmas lights, and then we have a space heater that looks like kind of like a wood burning stove, and so I'll turn that on with or without the heater element, but I can turn it on where it's like just the light looking like flames comes on, and that's really nice. So basically for me, the key is occupying my mind, whether it be a cozy, comforting show, movie, YouTube. That certainly helps always. Or cooking dinner, or doing puzzles, or working on a bit of a challenging knit, or playing a game with family, or yeah, it's just like staying occupied. And then like I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm really doing that thing, I'm trying, of if it's after 9 p.m. and I have stress and anxiety thoughts that my brain is really trying to like latch onto, I'm kind of telling her to shut up. Like I'm really working to ignore those thoughts and maybe reassess them in the morning, maybe not reassess them in the morning. I've heard people will kind of write down those thoughts and worries to then decide the next day if they want to like revisit it or not. I have been living with my anxiety long enough now that I kind of have a pretty good understanding of real worries, real concerns, real things to address, and my brain just not being very kind to me. I love The Big Bang Theory, and I keep trying to tell my brain, like, we can be like Sheldon and his brain. Like, Sheldon and his brain are besties. We could be besties, but we're not there yet. We're frenemies. We were besties for a long time, and then now we're in the frenemy zone, but we're trying to heal that bond. So, yeah. I think being able to identify the difference between this is a real concern that is bothering me and affecting me in my day-to-day life that I need to address, and okay, this is my anxiety, this is my brain trying to find something to be worried about when there's nothing to be worried about. And that's just very personal. Being able to figure that out is just very, very personal, and it takes time, and it's annoying, and it's a pain in the ass, and yeah, I would so much rather spend my time doing so many other things than figuring out the nitty-gritty inner workings of my brain. But that's the phase of life we're in now. So if that's the phase you're in as well, you are so very much not alone. I couldn't be more in it with you if I tried. And yeah, it kind of fucking sucks, but I keep telling myself that it's going to make me the strongest, most complete version of myself that I've ever been. And I hope that that's true. And I hope it's for the better. It's after 9 p.m. We're not looking into that thought. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for being here. I hope that you enjoyed, or I hope that you found it entertaining or comforting, or maybe you got a good tip or two out of this video. If you struggle with this, please let me know your tips and what you like to do and what works for you, because what I didn't mention in this video is these nighttime spookies also hit me very early in the morning. I think if it's just dark and I'm tired, that's when they set in. Like, my boyfriend sometimes leaves for work very, very early in the morning, and I always get up to say goodbye to him for the day because that's one of my own personal anxieties. So I always make a point to try to very consciously and lovingly, you know, say see you later to my loved ones. And going back to bed after that can be very challenging for me. And I apply a lot of these same tips. So yes, if you have any, please let me know. And I hope you're doing well. And I'll be back when I have more to talk about. Bye.